Make sure y'all go to noideasoriginal.com. You want to know what events I'm hosting? You want to know what events I'm having? You want to know about promo or anything else? noideasoriginal.com. Pardon my voice, I'm a little under the weather. We're going to get into a few things today. First and foremost, I hate how the internet tries to make it like everything was hot during certain eras. Yo, just because you might have liked it does not mean that shit was hot. Point blank, period. And a lot of shit had its on and off moments. Jordan 1, perfect example. Now, I can't speak too much on 85, 86, because I was in kindergarten, first grade. Although I did have a pair, but I can't tell you what was going on outside. I know from the pictures and what my brother and father told me, like, people was definitely fucking with them, but Adidas was still king at the time. You had Run DMC and all that shit going on. Adidas was still reigning supreme. Now, if you go into the 90s, when the Jordan 1 was retro, $40. Nobody paid that shit no attention like that back then. And then, you know, once the Kanye and Hove took them shits to another level, point blank, period, them shits started doing astronomical numbers during that time. So the kids that's born in mid 90s, late 90s, I understand it's different from them because they're teenagers or early 20s once that Kanye era took off. So for them, it's different compared to us early 80s babies. But the Jordan 1 is a perfect example. That sneaker is 40 years old today. I have a nice amount of pictures from 85, 86, people wearing Jordan 1s. Their parents, their grandparents, celebrities, all of that. Now, when you go to 94, them shits was on shelves for $40, $30, shit like that. Then fast forward 2012, 2013, and on for a nice little minute, the Jordan 1 had a crazy run. I mean, the run was so crazy, they made a lot of bullshit colors. Yo, I know a lot of y'all are super upset that y'all bought all them dumbass colors. Yo, you remember seeing on the gram, people will have a bunch of shelves with all Jordan 1s in different colors. None of them shits hold no weight outside of the OGs right now, besides a shattered backboard, a collab, a PE, something like that. Those are the ones that still hold weight. Rest of that shit, garbage. So if you think about it, a sneaker that came out 85, 86, and that shit dropped in a lot of colors back then. Its peak wasn't until 2013 era when shit was just gentrified and everybody was into something that everybody wasn't into 85 and 86. But to let the internet tell it, the Jordan 1 was always one of them ones. Get the fuck out of here. Don't misinterpret what I'm saying. Will I have the bread ones? Yes. It's a cool, calm sneaker. Am I as excited for them as I am for the Black Metallic 5 and that Grape 5? No way. And that's just my opinion. But the 5 always meant something crazy to me. I'm talking about forever. Since 1990. Especially those two colors, Black Metallic and Grape. Few days ago, Jim Jones shook up the sneaker community. Shout out to Capo too, before we get started, because you know you got assholes and weirdos that think what I'm about to say is taking shots at Jim. So here's what Jim was talking about. Sneaker culture started with drug dealers. Argue with your mama. Who made Nike and Reebok's flies? Before that, Puma's, Adidas. Michael Jordan made them, but the drug dealers made me want to buy them. Nowadays, most basketball sneakers are not fashionable anymore. Why a lot of sneaker companies losing right now. I be watching all these weird dudes doing sneaker shows and sneaker reviews. Never had the hustle to get a pair. They don't know the risk to the thrill factor. Most of them never had a pair of Jordans when they came out. They only bought retros. Is he talking facts? Abso-fucking-lutely. He's speaking some shit I've been talking about since I started No Ideas Original 3 years ago. By the way, January 23rd makes 3 years that I had the page. So on February 8th at Winter Wars, we will also be celebrating the 3-year anniversary of No Ideas Original platform. Back to this shit Jimmy talking about. When you come from certain environments in a certain era, you know what's what. So it's no way to dispute this shit that he talking about in no shape, form, or fashion. Like I said plenty of times before, I ain't never want to be like Mike. I was infatuated with how the shits was worn on the corner in my neighborhood at the dice games, in school, shit like that. It was never by Michael Jordan. Yeah. He definitely shed light on the sneaker. The designs, you can't take nothing from what Tinker brought to the table. However, if you went to school in them 80s, and I'm talking about 87, 88, 89, you was in elementary making your way to middle school by the 90s, you know that everybody was not into the sneaker shit. Point blank period. You had a chosen few, but it wasn't everybody. Matter of fact, fuck just people being in the sneakers. Motherfuckers wasn't in the clean sneakers. That's something that the drug dealers made popular. Clean sneakers, new pair, no scuffs, new shit all the time. They was really the only ones that could afford them. Let me rephrase that for the bozos. They were the only ones that could afford to buy a new pair every day. You know, you got people that'd be like, yo, I ain't do this and I ain't do that, but I had a pair. Yeah, but let's be realistic. Who had a job and bought a new pair of sneakers 4 to 5 days out of 7-day weeks? And I'm a kid that had shit growing up. I'm not going to say I was the kid that had the most shit in my neighborhood, but looking back, I didn't do bad. My parents did right by me growing up as far as shit that they bought me. But I didn't get no new pair every other day or every other week. One summer, my mother bought me a pair of sneakers every 2 weeks. That shit was crazy. But when I was young, it was more or less like you get 4, maybe 5 pair a year. And then as I got older and I would shovel snow and shit like that, I made ways to get fresh. And then once I started getting my own motherfucking money, yo, it was times where I might buy 10 pair in a week. It all depends on how that money is coming in. But a lot of people always trying to like put their 2 cents into shit that people say. Like it was a lot of comments of people saying like, yo, how you trying to glorify this and that under Jimmy's post? Yo, if you don't come from what a lot of us come from, don't speak on it. This shit is true, real life shit. This is our truth, our facts, our history. If you not from that, you aren't expected to understand it. So if we don't expect you to understand it, we also expect for you not to comment on the shit. Now, the weird dudes doing sneaker reviews at shows, yo, it's a chosen few that's not weird, but it's definitely more weird than there is a chosen few. But yo, y'all could thank them for the reason No Idea is Original exists, the reason why this YouTube channel exists, the reason why we surpassing a lot of those weirdos that's been doing this shit for years upon years. Shout out to the young boys too, because they was getting upset when he said most of them never had a pair of Jordans when they came out. They only bought retros. He was not talking to y'all that wasn't old enough to buy OG pairs. He's talking about people that was of age to have OGs but didn't have OGs. They started getting cool once the shit was gentrified. A lot of y'all needed social media to become cool. Yo, I want y'all to go under some of y'all favorite sneaker curating pages and ask them to post a picture of them. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt because when you young, you can't control certain things, right? But tell them to post a high school picture and then post a picture now. With then and now, yo, you would be surprised who's behind all these Getty Image and YouTube recorded commercials from that era that run these pages. Or shit, pay attention to the captions that they write under the post. If it look a little AI-ish, if it look a little Wikipedia-ish, or if it look like it's a little copy and paste from some shit that they seen from a few different places, this is why I run with the narrative that, yo, we are not all the same. With this sneaker shit, yo, people just all bunch it under one thing and call it a sneakerhead. Nah, this shit is different. You got people that just want to buy sneakers and save them and take nice pictures and don't wear the shits, or they wear them goofy as fuck. You got other motherfuckers that post about sneakers and look like Urkel. You got motherfuckers that sneakers been so much a part of their life forever that they don't even look at it as a sneakerhead. It's no title to the shit. That's where I fall in line at. It's no title to the shit that I'm into. I talk about the sneakers because a lot of the shit was being erased. Like, you can't erase history. But, however, the clothes play a major part. That's why it's a lifestyle. The music, the clothes, the girls, the sneakers, the cars, the areas, yo, like, it's a lot that comes into play with that. And it also has a lot to do with where you grew up at. For instance, Bergen County, where I'm from, Hackensack, a lot of people look at this shit as the burbs because it don't get nowhere near the amount of violence that New York get, but it definitely gets popping here. You know how when motherfuckers from your hood will be like, yo, I found this small little town down south, it's a lot of money there. Yeah, that's how my town is. 10 minutes away from New York, right? So the game that I be giving y'all on New York and all the shit that I have, yo, I made all that shit happen in my town. From the cars to the motorcycles to the jewelry to the sneakers, you name it, I made that shit happen right here. And guess what? Yo, we get money out here just like them city blocks and shit. So the suburb shit, I got mixed feelings on that. It all depends. Yeah, the grass is greener, but the profit is higher. But yo, imagine this, right? I walk out my apartment, 5E. That's the apartment I grew up in. Fuck that. Before I walk out, I look over to my left and I look at my brother under his bed. Black and yellow Iowa Dunks, green suede Bally's, 40 below Timbs, fucking Polo Cookie Goose, Benetton Rugbies, North Beach Leathers. Mind you, my brother don't hustle. As soon as he was able to get working papers, he got a job. My brother was one of them brown-skinned niggas with good hair that just like to get fly and fuck with the girls. Now, mind you, we sharing a room, so when his friends come over, I'm in there, I'm listening. I'm absorbing all the shit that they talking about, the clothes they gonna buy. I'm watching this nigga throw that shit on before he go out somewhere. I'm watching his friends with all that shit on. Now, If I walk out of my apartment and take the elevator to the lobby, crack sales galore. Niggas is in front of the building, they shooting dice. All types of shit is going on. It was even instances when I woke up to go to school and niggas is handcuffed. 30 niggas in the hallway. They just raided the building. 1987. Eyewitness news in the hallway. And this is all like my brother's peers. I'm still a kid. But now as I'm getting older, my father is still young. He's in his early 20s. My brother is a young teenager. So whatever my brother get, I'm getting. Or whatever shit I'm seeing outside that I'm liking or I'm infatuated with, I'm getting that shit. My parents ain't never really tell me, yo, nah, that shit costs too much. You ain't getting that. Only when I ask for shit like Gucci links and shit like that. Like, nigga, you 10, 11 years old. You ain't getting no Gucci link. Yo, ask your favorite curator, vlogger, or whatever. What was they thinking about at 10, 11 years old? When it Just to Get a Rep video came on and you seen Little Dap with the same Ewings you got on under your bed. But you don't got the Gucci link. So you want to finish off the look with the Gucci link. That was my train of thought when I was asking for a Gucci link at that age. We are not the same. And I'm not just speaking for me. I'm speaking for a lot of people. Stop bunching this shit up together like we all came into this shit how we came into it. Yo, I was the one of the only kids from my neighborhood that went to private school. Fully, kindergarten through 8th grade in public housing. Like, you know, now that's kind of the norm for kids to go to private schools, have uniforms and shit like that. Not in 1984. So I'm coming to school with leather bombers on and my teachers is saying, that's a nice coat you got on. And mind you, my father didn't hustle neither. He had a job. He just understood the fly shit. Or why the rest of the kids is wearing shoes. My father is letting me get black Reeboks, black New Balance boots, anything all black with my uniform so I wouldn't have to wear shoes. Gym class was the way for me to show that I was different from all of them. The Jordans drop? Yeah, I got them shits on 88, 89. I ain't get the 5s in 90. I had some other shit, flights, all types of shit, Etonics. 91, sport blue 6s. It goes on and on, but by 92, they started catching on. But the late 80s and shit, yo, I had classmates tell me they didn't like rap until they heard like NWA because it was just raunchy and a lot of cursing and shit. And even with them starting to like rap, they still wore sneakers that they sold in Kmart and shit like that, tied mad tight. Dirty. They didn't give a fuck about none of that. It wasn't that that's the only thing their parents would buy them. They truly didn't give a fuck about it. Like, even when I would bust out with some new shit, they didn't look at it like, oh, he's killing them. Shit, they laughed a few times. I come in with the army coat on, Tim's. Yeah, you look like a G.I. Joe. I got the starter on. Oh, who do you think you are? Criss Cross? And it's like, what? Flip side to that. Now, when I'm walking back to the hood with that shit on, the hood is laughing because they like, yo, you got that shit on with the tie and the slacks. You funny as hell. Go right upstairs, change, and I'm outside with them. The hood kids will look at it like I was more privileged and uppity. But yo, I can't help that my parents said, fuck it, we gonna live here and make sure that you get a decent education. And not to mention, my mother was a school teacher. But anywhere in the world, if you were 80s kid, early 80s, with memories of school and outside, and you was in the kicks, you know everybody else wasn't in the kicks. It was not the way it is now. And I don't remember a time when we didn't wear our shit. It was never about not wearing your shit. For the hustlers, it was a different story. It would look like they didn't really wear their shit. That's because they was constantly buying new shit. Yo, them spring In summer months in the park, the dice game, every day they pulling up with something different on. Like, I remember sitting in the park on my bike or on a bench watching the dice game, and I could look at the shit that the hustlers had on and say, yeah, I'm copping them shits for back to school. I'm getting this for back to school. No bullshitting. Yo, just imagine being into some shit, right? And the shit that you into, you see people in your neighborhood into the same shit on steroids. But the difference is they're older and they're getting their own money. And you're not. So you're just an onlooker. But you making mad mental notes of this shit. The dice game in the corner was the perfect place to make the observation. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck it is, man. Is it euphoric or dopamine, whatever it is, when you see something that give you the goosebumps, or when you see somebody put some shit together the right way and you like, yo, nah, he really, really murdered that shit, or she made that shit look crazy. That type of shit helps out down the line where you'll know and say to yourself, that shit is fire, but it's not for me. Or, yeah, I could body it, but not that way. Another issue with now, yo, let's think back, right? Product placement. Everybody always screaming this Seinfeld shit, but yo, we wasn't watching Seinfeld more than we was watching Martin, more than we was watching Fresh Prince, more than we was watching Hanging with Mr. Cooper, more than we was watching Home Improvement, and the list goes on and on. A Different World, Yo MTV Raps, The Box, Video Music Box, Rap City, you name it. Out of all that shit I just named, I could for surely say Seinfeld never crossed my mind at that time to watch with all that shit going on. But when we talking about product placement, they not placing the product in the right spaces no more. Like, even down to the commercials, like, you were able to relate with Mars Blackman as he was somebody from the hood. Deion Sanders, like the way he carried himself, they not catering to that shit. Yo, they so caught up in technology and the function. Where is the look? The look help sells the shoes. And I'm pretty sure all that shit Tinker Design was definitely for the court and whatever else, tennis court, football field, whatever, track field. But he understood the look. That's why we still buying a lot of that shit that he made to this day. More, man. 40 years of Jordan. The Jordan 1 turned 40. The Jordan 5, 35. The Jordan 11, 30 years old. And you could basically say every generation from 40 and down, even up 50 and down, is still fucking with 90 sneakers.